My name's Robbie Wayne. You're watching the Three Count Podcast.
Do you wanna get live with me? Do you really wanna ride with me? I'm in the club, baby, grind on me.
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the Three Count Podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And with it being season 5 and our 300 and I think it's like 80 something episode, I would just hope you say with me, I am your Sherpa, because like your tribal chief, acknowledge me. Like every good tribal chief, every good Sherpa, you gotta have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficient than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. So who's entering the ring today? You can find this man at USW. You can find this man at TCW. You can find this man at ATCW. He is well-traveled. He is very talented. He is bold. He is menacing. He is also one hell of a guy to hang out with. He is the man, the myth, the legend, the one that you know as Robbie Wayne.
I appreciate it.
Yo,
That's another introduction that I get to the ring.
It has been such a long time, because we were just talking about this right before we came on the air. 2019 was the last time I saw you.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time, and even for those who know, because like you guys are all long-term listeners and watchers of the show. I didn't start professional wrestling until 2020, so you met me in the dark arts, as Chaz and I would call it.
Right.
But no, man, because it was cool, because like we even had a quick interaction, but we got to talk a little bit. We could talk a little bit. Actually, it was 2020. It was 2020. Now I'm thinking about it, because
it was like right before everything shut down.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so we had like a quick little interaction and stuff like that. But then from there, like just we've never been able to kind of like hit and get on the same page.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that'll change. Somebody out there.
No, I'm hoping. I would love to get a match with you. It'd be fun.
Yeah. Oh, I think what's so funny, man, is because one of my favorite things, and it was one of the things that helped motivate me and keep me grounded. And don't take this wrong when I say it, right? But I think I remember putting up a question on like Facebook and like, what was your first thought of me and wrestling? And you had like the most honest comment, right? It was he looks like a wrestler, but he doesn't act like a wrestler. And I was like, yo, that is very true. And I thought about those things, and so I started like working on my craft and grinding and getting better and working at different things and aspects of it. But it was because of you, man, because like it was that one thing that I was like, if there's somebody that will be bluntly honest with me, it will be Robbie, and I can always go to him and be like, yo, was this match trash? What could I change? What can I add? What can I take away? What would you suggest? And I know you're gonna keep it 100 with me.
Yeah, I mean, we're all out here trying to get better. There ain't no reason to lie to you about it. And people that I talk to, there's a few people that I trust to do exactly that, to keep it honest with me. And I tell them, like, I can lie to myself, my friends and family can lie to me, but I need somebody that's going to tell me the truth, because I can't grow if everybody's telling me how good I am. I need to know where I messed up.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like I have a pretty cool mentor in O'Shea Edwards, and he always says it too. He's like, make me hate this match. He's like, it's one of my favorite matches I've put it, but make me hate this. And I think the same thing too. I'll send out matches to people, and I'll be like, yo, just don't tell me what I did well. Just tell me where I sucked. Because if you're not telling me where I did well, then I'm doing fine, and I can handle that, I can grow that. But tell me where I suck, and I'll fix that.
Yeah, I like being told where I did good at also, because then I know to focus on that. But my main thing is I want to know where I messed up so I can fix it.
Yeah, and I do hear your point. It's for me, it's like if you're not focusing on the big things, then that means that and this is to me, if you're not focused on the big things, that means I'm doing them well. If you're focused on the little things, then those are the little things that help to make bigger picture grow. So that's where I'm at with it.
Right. Yeah. That's where I'm at right now. Also, the guy that I go to a lot is Matt Wild, and I know he'll keep it 100 with me, and that's where we're at. Like, we've got the big things, just the little things that I'm still like just missing here and there, some little things.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because like I feel like you and I kind of have a similar like style as far as like wrestling goes, because we're like you do the coup de grace like off the top rope.
Mhm. Yeah.
Other than that, you're not really taking like a lot of like crazy risks.
Not really, and it surprises me how many people actually view that as a risk. Because to me, it's pretty simple. Um, but a lot of people say that it's a crazy move, the high risk. But mine is, I'm sure the same reason for you is age. I used to love flying around and doing the cruiserweight stuff, but I'm too old for that now.
It's one of those things like, and I always tell people like I can do those things. I just
I
choose not
can,
to.
yeah, yeah, I can, I can do it, but it's got to be the right match. If I'm gonna risk injuring my old self, it's gonna have to be the right match.
I feel you on it. Feel you on it. So I'm gonna ask this question right off the rip because this is one of my favorite questions to ask a lot of people. But who is Robbie Wayne?
Uh, so growing up, my favorite thing to do was to read the wrestlers' books, like their biographies, I guess.
Mhm.
And I read Stone Cold's, and he said the best character is to be yourself times 10. It's pretty much Robbie Wayne is just me times 10. Um, my favorite things to do is poke and pick and prod and tease people. So that's what I do. I go out there and try to get under the fan's skin, try to get under my opponent's skin, just have fun.
It was
A
one
nuisance.
I was gonna say because I remember like I think you and I like we went back and forth one time, just cutting promos back and forth, and like one promo you did was like I feel like you were hiding behind a beam or something like that, and then you were like poking out the side, but then you were editing it so that it was just like a different character coming out left and right, and I was like, yo, this is so creative. Like I gotta get into doing this.
Right. Yeah. I really it's wild to say because it didn't used to be that way. But I feel like about the time that you and I met is when I started to get a grasp on the promos, and then I really enjoyed that the editing them and almost making them cinematic, like not just a promo, not just talking, but almost like a vignette.
I think that's the art. It's funny because like Chaz will yell at me a lot because I'll be like, I like telling stories like through my promos. Like I will build up a whole thing to talk about what's gonna happen. Like a couple years ago, I did a promo. Well, after my dog passed away, I did a promo like Steve from Blue's Clues. Uh,
Right.
and I thought it was so cool and it was a lot of fun to do. But more importantly, like it was telling the story about like the person I was going to wrestle and who they were and what they were going, like what their mission was, and
Mhm.
it was part of it. And I think like telling good stories, like to get the crowd hyped up into something is important. And I
Right.
get with Chaz. Chaz is always like, he's loud, obviously, being a Don, he's loud, and he was loud even when we were in the dark arts. But it's like knowing him and seeing like him tell stories, like he tells stories. I'm like, bro, you do the same thing I do.
Yeah. No, if there is a story, it's not just a random match. I definitely enjoy trying to tell the story. Um, Axel Crow and I are currently, I'm not going to say in a story, but we're wrestling each other everywhere. So we're kind of making it a story, as much as a story that can be spread out through three different promotions.
I've noticed that you guys were in the ring a lot because I know you sent me a couple matches and I've been seeing, and we've had
Yeah.
him on the podcast too. He's a lot of fun to like to chat it up with. Um, what is your, I guess how I want to say this. So normally when they say like find something like who you are, right, as your character, be authentic to yourself,
Mhm.
obviously, but multiply by 10. What do you think is the things that you amplify to make fans get drawn to you?
Like I said, I enjoy being a nuisance. I grew up, and that's just how we entertained ourselves, was picking on each other, cracking jokes. So that's what I do. When I in my promos, I like to crack jokes against my opponent in the ring. Like one of my favorite things to do is to interact with the crowd, even as the bad guy. Like that's my favorite. You see, like my entrance whenever my opponent's coming out, they're doing their entrance. I'm arguing with the crowd. Sometimes in the middle of the match, I'll get out and say something to them. It's just getting under people's skin is a lot of fun for me, and seeing if I can get under your skin. How mad can I make you just using words?
I like that. I
Yeah,
like
just being a menace, a nuisance, just a pest.
I think for me, like one of my favorite things to do is just like, I guess it's part of me though, but it'd be like looking like I'm in peril. Like I love
Right.
being the baby face that's like just in not full panic mode, but in clearly like, oh, I'm gonna like ask for help, right? So like one thing that I like is I'll get thrown on a second rope and an opponent will be choking me. And
Hmm.
in all my matches I've done this in, it's always gets over. But I'll look at a random person in the crowd and I'll be like, yo, tag me in. Tag me. It's a
Yeah,
one-on-one.
yeah,
Tag me in.
right.
And they're
Yeah.
always like, oh God, like no.
Yeah, no, I like to offer the crowd, like I get out and do the whole like the coward heel thing. I'll get out and run or something along those lines, and they always yell at me to get in the ring. So I always like get up on the apron and like, you want to get in, that type thing, and nobody ever wants to. But
It'd be wild that one time when you find the one person that's be like, all right, I'm in, and you're like,
yeah,
get out of the ring.
yeah, that'll be a fun bridge to cross if it ever happens.
I remember one time we were working a match in Delaware, and it was Chaz, myself, and Prince, and it was the first time I had ever come out with the guys. Um, and this lady, man, she was trying to heckle Chaz. You know, she was like, "Your boy's looking a little frail." And I remember walking over and I go, "What did you say?" She's like, "Your boy's looking frail." I was like, "You can't even spell frail." And she was like, "Yes, I can." I was like, go on and spell it for me. And she was like, FR, and I just walked away from the conversation. 'Cause I was,
Yeah,
and then so I guess I do understand like your point, but like just getting under people's skin and just like
hmm,
irritating the shit out of them.
yeah. And, like finding the one like, to use the old term, the mark. I don't know if you ever learned where that was from, but to find that one person and like, that's the easy target. That's something I enjoy doing too.
Yeah,
Or
no, I
you pick a kid, because if you can get a kid going, you can get everybody's going. If you get one kid,
oh, absolutely. I
yeah,
love placing the line down and like finding who's gonna be right in front of it.
yeah,
I think
uh,
I've had some fun interactions with kids. I remember one kid, he was telling me that I sucked, and he was like, "You suck," and I was like, "You're adopted," and like it
I
just
have to keep
he
that
just
one. That's a good one.
yeah, he just stopped him like, "Whoa." You know, funny enough, you know who I got it from?
Is that
Yo, laugh, Vam.
Vam?
Yeah,
That doesn't surprise me at all.
no. Once I tell like people who know who Vam is, like they all like, "Oh man, that just sounds like a Vam thing to do."
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
remember.
think I actually no, because he was facing me and him work, but he wore his gear that had like the something about your mom and had like a stork and stuff like that on it. I don't exactly remember what his gear looked like, but yeah, that's probably when he used it.
It's funny because like a lot of stuff that Vam says, man, like really pushes the boundaries, but it's like just at the line. If not, sometimes he will step over that line, but sometimes it gets just to the line of where he's like fans are trying to fight him, and I've heard numerous times fans try to fight him.
No, I really enjoy that. When I made my debut in ATCW, apparently a lot of the fans there like were not happy with me, and a couple of other fans had to like calm their friends down because like they really, it was real to them still up there. But now we kind of have a working relationship. They understand that it's just a character.
Yeah.
They'll come to my merch table and interact with me there.
I've heard people look at Chaz and be like, "Bro, you got me. You got me really good." Like I didn't even know how to respond. Like I was just
Yeah,
wanting to fight you instantly, and I remembered like, "Oh, this isn't him.
yeah,
This is somebody else." And I was like,
yeah.
and I look at Chaz, I'm like, "Yo, if they only knew, like you really don't like some of these people."
Yeah, I've had a similar when I was in the ring running my mouth with one of the kids in the front row. I don't remember exactly what we said, but it was something about his mom, and it actually shut him up. And then like after the show, he came to me. He was like, "Props to you." He's like, "Because nobody ever gets me to shove." He goes, "But I didn't know what to say." Then he brings his stepbrother with him now, and I'm running my mouth with him about it being his brother, mother, and stuff like that. Like, I know you're in West Virginia, but brother and mother aren't the same thing.
I like that.
Yeah,
I've I had I remember that kid I was making fun of, and I told him he was adopted. Like his mom was taking pictures behind him. I was like, I don't know if you noticed, dude, but there's some weird lady taking pictures behind you. And he was like, "Oh, that's my mom." And I looked at the mom, was like, "This your son?" She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Y'all look nothing alike. No one has the same glasses. It's weird." And then just finding things. But then like I remember after the match, like I had taken the pin and I was getting out of the ring and the kid said something. And I was like, "Shut up." And I was like, "Hey, Ma." And she looked at me. I was like, "I'm gonna call you later." It was like a hold of my ribs and just walk out. I was like, it's such a I was like, it felt like such a layup thing to do. And I was like, I'm just gonna shoot for this and not care.
Right. Yeah.
Yo, so everybody likes to ask this question, but in more in particular, I like asking this question in this sense, right? So everybody's all like, "Were you always a wrestling fan?" Right? You know what podcast you are when you do that, okay? And if you don't know, you're probably the podcast. But I want to know more importantly, like, what was the moment that you watched in a wrestling match that you were like, I have to do this now?
I don't remember the moment because I wasn't supposed to watch wrestling as a kid growing up, but I would sneak and watch it. And my dad always watched it. And when it would come on, I'd get sent to bed. And I would sit in the hallway and I thought I was sneaking and getting away with it. But now as a parent, I know I probably wasn't. He knew I was there the whole time, but I so I'm not sure the moment that was like, yeah, I want to be a wrestler. I remember my first match that I was allowed to watch was the Rock and Mankind in the empty arena,
Yeah.
the Falls Count Anywhere. And I think like that's the first match I was allowed to watch. So that's a match that like always resonates.
Wasn't that during the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, Super Bowl halftime, empty
Yeah.
arena. Yeah,
Sunday night heat,
yeah,
empty arena.
yeah. And he pinned him with the forklift. That to me was always wild.
Forklift.
Yeah,
I'll never forget seeing the shot of the forklift going down on Dwayne, and he's just laying underneath it, like, no, 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 and it's just coming out. It's
it's
like
going to the left.
it's the Austin Powers, like the steamroller scene.
Yeah,
That's all I think about. But it's one of those moments that you're right. When I think about it too, it just lives in infamy because
hmm
like NXT had their Super Bowl matchup too, and I forget. I know Ricochet was in the match. I forget who else was in that match. It tells you how important it was because I don't remember who all was in that match.
I didn't even know they had one.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure like EC3 was in that match too. I don't remember, but I just remember like they did it because they wanted to put on like a fast paced match that was gonna get the crowd hyped during the Super Bowl. So they did it for like the halftime. But I just remember Ricochet being in the match, and it was so cool because he was hitting a lot of fly moves. And I think Aleister Black might have been in that match too. I don't know. It'll be something I have to go back and watch again just to kind of see.
So I didn't even know that NXT had a Super Bowl show or match. So
Yeah. It's one of those things that's like it was very niche, which for those who don't know, niche is just another word for saying unpopular. So oh damn, my camera. That's what I get. All right, so talk to me about the worst bump you've taken.
it was probably a show in Carolina. I was in a rumble. They threw me over the top. I caught myself on the apron, and then the guy ran and like just big booted me off. And it was relatively new into like it was like I say maybe my fourth professional match, and I thought I had to be the cool guy and show off. And I took that bump off the apron. It was like in a mall, so it was like onto like that tile floor that's in malls.
Oh, no.
It was dumb. I'll never do it again. But I was young, dumb, thought I had to prove myself. I took the bump, and it was horrible.
No, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't now. I've
Yeah.
never taken another one like it.
I remember like one time I was in a rumble, and you know, like there's okay, for those who know, there are rules, unwritten rules for being in a rumble, and I remember this kid, man, he was so hyped. I think it was like his second match ever, and he was in this rumble, and he was a big kid, right? And the first thing this kid did, man, he just threw me into a buckle and then just chopped me overhand, both hands. And I was like, word. Okay. And then like he looked at the crowd and he's like, shh, and he pulled my hands over and he did it again. And the funny part is I knew that he didn't know like his size. So by
Right.
all means, we broke every rule. I grabbed this dude by the throat and threw him into the buckle and then paused him to make him just anticipate when I was gonna come down to chop him. I was so pissed because I was like, bro, why is that necessary? So when I
Right.
hit him the first time, the crowd goes, ooh, because they didn't say anything when he did it. And then the second when I did it, I was like, should we go one more time? And the crowd's like, one more time. I was like, sorry, bro. And I hit him again.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, you had it coming, bro. Like,
Yeah.
but nice dude though. Like I'll put it out there. Afterwards, we told him we're like, yo, bro, like just kicks and punches, and just throwing people over the top rope. You don't have to.
Right.
No need for chops. No need unless like you absolutely get the like someone's like, yo, just chop me. Like otherwise, don't.
It's a go-to. It's almost like in a rumble, a chop is almost like a DDT. I don't know what to do, so I'm gonna chop you.
Yeah.
You can work. You know, you don't have to chop me.
Chokes, right? Big boot in the corner, something.
Yeah.
Punch, right? Yep.
Yeah, it definitely is like I don't know what else to do. It's just yeah.
Throw somebody into me. I don't care. Grab another body. Do a splash. Do something, man. Just God, you go right for it. And it's not like he like did a choke or like hit me. He just went right to the chop, and I was like, all right, bro. Now you about to get this. Yo, yeah, because I remember like one of my worst bumps that I took. Right, I love telling this story because it's a lesson that I learned. And I was training outside. And the ring was kind of cold because it was February. It was like my first full month of training. And I thought it'd be so cool to try Kira Tozawa's big senton splash from the top rope.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized was, when it's cold outside, the ring doesn't give. And
No.
it just sucked all the air out of me. It was terrible.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a bad decision.
No, it doesn't sound good at all.
Mm-mm.
Everything's cold. You're cold.
Yeah. And I remember Sicken goes, did you learn something? I was like, yeah, never doing that again.
I actually just met Sicken for the first time last weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, worked the same show as he was on down here in Virginia.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's my guy. Everybody. And we've been on the show for 5 years, man, and I've had him on like numerous times, but a dude that just has a lot of knowledge that you can like kind of pick and like get to know and just learn from. So it's definitely, I don't hide it. Like he's the guy who trained me to be as good as I can be.
Right.
And and I'm still always learning and grinding, obviously. But yeah, man, meeting him and then getting to meet Ruckus were like, it was great to be able to do that.
No, I talked to Nick a lot, but we never met. Like it just never happened. And then he was at the show, and I was like, "Oh, word, that's what's up." Then actually talking to him and Matt, I'm gonna start going up there pretty soon and just refreshing because it's been so long, and I'm just missing some things that I feel like I shouldn't be missing. So
it makes sense.
A refresher, and they probably know things that I've forgotten.
Yeah, they're always like that. It's wild because I feel like Nick has probably forgotten more things than I've learned. And I'm like, bruh.
Yeah.
Yo, let me ask you this question though, because I feel like I heard a story, so I just want to see, but I want to see if it's one of the things that you've kind of like learned. I guess is what I'll ask. What's one of the hardest lessons you've had to learn being in the business?
To not take everything personally. I get maybe not upset, but I get frustrated if that's the right word. With like, for me, wrestling, I want to tell stories. If I'm not telling a story, I'm just a filler match. It starts to upset me, and that's why I've taken so many hiatuses. Like I guess bored, maybe is the right word. So it's just that is not take everything so seriously, not take everything personally, like to enjoy the ride and not just get like almost tunnel visioned, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like at times like I get that way too, because like when I was in Maryland, like I felt like I was just a lot of filler matches, and in the first couple years it made sense, right? But when I got to like year 3, I was like, bro, I want to do more. I was
Right.
like, put me in stories, do this, do that. I don't care what it is, just stick me somewhere where I can fit into a
Yeah.
story. And I remember like finally I just decided to take things in kind of like my own hands and start asking people questions like, "Hey, can I just go out with pure ignorance?" Like I did it at one CW. It was like one of the first places that I had ever gone out with those guys at. And they're like, "Yeah, is it gonna make sense?" I was like, "It will eventually, but right
Right.
now, it's, he's just a hired merc, so just he's just kicking it with those guys." Um, and now, like now that I moved to Massachusetts, I'm rebuilding all over again, and I'm like,
Mhm.
dude, this just takes so long to do. But I also have to remember like not to take it personal, because like these promoters have had storylines lined up with their guys for some as up to 16 months, which is crazy to me
Yeah, it
it's all
is.
this long. But the fans are in tune with the stories. They know all the people that are there on their roster, so I can't even get mad. I'm like, let me just show face, let me go around, let me work and figure things out, and then we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's insane. It's insane to
It's one
see.
of my favorite things about ATCW is it's almost became like my home fed, and like everybody there knows me, and it's easier. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they already know me, so they know what they expect, and I don't have to work as hard to get what I want.
I feel that. I feel that.
Yeah,
I know
they
like
already hate me, so I just walk out and it's game over.
well, I got lucky. So it was funny because I was working at this place called Focus Pro Wrestling, and my match changed like 3 times within like 2 hours of being there. So originally, I had been planned for a fatal 4-way match, and then it got changed to a 1-on-1. Both matches, I was working heel, which was, I was like, cool, whatever. I'm gonna do that. I'll be that person. And then within like an hour of the show starting, I got told, "Hey, we're actually gonna make you a face, and you're gonna work against this person." And yeah, and they already know that he's a heel, so they're just gonna boo the shit out of him. So just go out there and just enjoy the ride. I was like, cool,
Mhm.
whatever. And he's like, "You're really too easygoing about this." I was like, "Yeah, whatever. Just
Yeah,
let's go."
it's the owner at ATCW. That's what he said. Like I'm one of easier guys that he's worked with. I'm just here to have fun. As long as I'm having fun, I'll do whatever. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna argue with you. I'm not gonna. I'm just here to wrestle. I'm having fun.
Yeah, and that's now that I'm here, I'm like, all right, because even the promoter afterwards, he was like, the next day he was like, yo, yesterday was like your welcoming party, congrats to breaking into the Massachusetts to the Northeast wrestling world, and just keep doing your thing. And I was like, all right, man, I'm just gonna keep working, but I still have a whole nother territory that I gotta go to where I'm like traveling down to New Jersey and Pennsylvania and Maryland and maybe West Virginia will catch me again. Like, so it's a lot of like traveling around. Oh, Delaware. Like, there's no doubt that I'll be back at one CW. But yeah, it's a trip though. I enjoy like traveling up and down the road and like just getting to work in different areas. But it's also like you learn like your character can do this in this town, but you can't do it in that town. So you kind of have to like tinker with things everywhere. I'm like, this it's a lot of fun to build.
Yeah, yeah. It's especially when you're like getting into new places, you got to figure it out again. It's almost like you're brand new to wrestling. It's your first match again.
Yep. And that's why I remember like working at EWA, and they originally they told me, they asked me to work heel, and so I had worked against I worked at Sweet 16, and I came in and I was just working heel. And when I came in with pure ignorance, and I remember like opening, like coming through the curtain, I was like, this is Maryland. I was like, this place sucks. And then the crowd was like, boo, we love Maryland. And I loved coming through. But then on the other side, I was just like I said, I was at Focus Pro, this last weekend. And there's a curtain. This is crazy. So there's a curtain, there's a long walkway. and then there's like a bunch, like there's like the initial roaming camera that's facing you, and then the fans are starting to show up in this bar show. So like I come out to my theme song, and I know that I have to make this walk first before I can ever just like say anything, because the crowd's not gonna get hyped for you because they're like, I don't even see him, bro. Like he's on the back.
Yeah.
So as I hook this left, I just stop, pause, and I look at the first fan right to my right, and I was just like, "What's up, baby?" I was like, "What's up, baby? You ready for this? You feeling this?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, give me a high five." And then the crowd like, "Yeah, we love Red Dog." And so, but the crowd did something that made me start thinking about adding to my character, right? And it's something I should have thought about doing a long time ago, but I guess because I was so deadlocked on one side, I didn't think about it. But as like I'm like trying to work on my comeback, the crowd starts to just woofing, like just barking out loud.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I was like, I had someone else tell me that I should start doing that in my matches, and I didn't necessarily ignore them. I was like, nah, that's not what I want the character to do. And now I'm thinking about, I'm like, maybe he had a point. Like I should probably
I
start
mean,
doing this.
you kind of hinted that you wanted to do like the filthy animals Ray thing. I could see him woofing,
Yeah.
even without having the Red Dog name. I could, you know.
Yeah. And I was
Yeah.
like, this makes sense. I was like, this makes way too much sense. It's like I hate how it is, but it's something that you learn, because then you're like, oh, okay, cool. I guess we'll just start doing it now and just seeing if it catches on like in different areas. So, we'll see what happens.
Right. It should catch on. Like it's simple, and wrestling fans love simple.
Yeah.
So it's easy to do. Everybody can woof.
Right.
So yeah, it should catch
Everybody
on. I
understands
think.
that. Everybody understands that part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yo, but let's hop over to my favorite part of the 3 Count podcast, which is the 3 Count podcast 10 count questions. And Mr. Wayne, this is how it works. I'm gonna fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast, and whatever your answer is, that's your answer.
All right.
All right, so we're gonna put on the imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing! And in the words of my favorite commentator, Mike Goldberg, here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown.
Favorite movie?
300.
Let's go. That's a great one. Apple or Android?
Android.
Favorite TV show?
Vikings.
Another good one. Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
Favorite cartoon?
SpongeBob.
Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Favorite podcast?
3 Count.
That's right, baby. The best. Nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
Let's see, Tiberius.
So Tiberius has been on this podcast. I gotta bring it back. That's the thing I gotta do. Yeah. So, we'll pause the timer. Yeah. So I brought Tiberius on right before we broke into our 200 episode.
Mhm.
So we had like the old format, and if you guys go back and watch that, it was like, I think it was on a Zoom call at that time when we did it. So it was
Right.
a very long time ago, and we may even been doing StreamYard. It may have even been Skype. I can't remember. It was that long ago. But yeah, so Tiberius has been on, but I do need to bring him back for now entering 201, because we have both gone through a lot of changes since we first met. One fun story about that: he chokeslammed me in a rumble. But I pretended to try to chokeslam him. Like I reached up, and he's a tall dude, so I reached up to try to chokeslam him, and then I just remember like going like, ah. All right, but my last question for you, and my favorite one to ask every single person that comes on this show: favorite curse word?
Fuck.
It's a classic. It's the best.
It's easy. It works for everything.
Yeah. Yo, so those are all my questions for you, man. So the last thing I need from you is to let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
I'm on Instagram, Tattoo Jesus, Facebook, Robbie Wayne, and I believe my TikTok is also Tattoo Jesus.
Well, there you go. He gave you all of his handles. He told you where you could follow him, and like every great part of a wrestling match, We got to take this home because this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And, like I said, like every good sharper, you got to have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. So it's never about me. It's about who's entering. So who's entering? You see the man right there, Robbie Wayne. So you guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there, or you're legitimately following us on all of our social media platforms. You're checking us out on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You're even leaving comments and likes. You're also following us on Spotify, leaving a comment there because that's the thing that you can do now, and rate us like #1 because we're the best. You're checking us out on Amazon Music. You're even listening to us on that dumb app with the stupid jingle that goes iHeartRadio or however it goes. You're buying all of our merch on foryourwear.com or even on prowrestlingtees.com. But you're also telling your mom about us, your dad about us, your auntie, your uncles, your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, your best friends, and your enemies because we love haters too. Doing all that stuff, or really you're just kind of waiting for this episode to end, waiting for that outro, and then you're choosing another episode to listen to. Kawaii. What's going on? It is Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And what we need from you guys is just kind of show us some support, right? We want you guys to go to our YouTube channel at the 3 Count Podcast, go on to our Twitch channel, 3 Count Pod, or even our Facebook page, 3 Count Podcast, and just give us a like, follow, subscribe, even give us a comment, right? Do all that cool stuff. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your enemies, right? Or you can even come talk to us and just chat us up, right? Find us on Twitter at 3Count_pod. Find us on IG and on TikTok at 3 Count Pod. Go ahead and leave us those comments. We want to hear from all of you guys. We're going to keep putting on videos and stuff like that. We want to keep making this content better, so we want your guys' support. Also, if you guys want to, go support us at prowrestlingtees.com/the 3 Count Podcast, or even find us on foryourwear.com. Give us the support. Show us your guys' love because we want to give it right back to y'all. So, in the meantime, between time, love y'all.